Hello, Mind Bloomers. This is Mind Bloom, the safe space at the intersection of mental health advocacy and breast cancer awareness. Mind Bloom is your podcast. Come back weekly and listen to my guests as they reflect on their close encounters with emotional disorders and breast cancer. Not an easy task, but we promise to make your mind bloom. Hello, Mind Bloomers. This is Marina Gee, your host, and this is Mind Bloom. Please remember, the content provided by Mind Bloom is not intended to be a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking medical treatment because of any content referenced or authored by Mind Bloom You. Hi guys. Hello and welcome to episode 37 of Mind Bloom. This is your safe space to talk about all things mental health and breast cancer awareness. You don't have to have issues concerning the former or a diagnosis concerning the latter to be welcomed to Mind Bloom. This is a space where we can talk and chat, laugh, and vent, and look for grace in the smallest things, look for those silver linings, look for that patience that is so hard to experience, and vulnerability, which is the worst, right? Being vulnerable, exposing yourself, your fears, your demons, letting others know that you too suffer, you too are scared, you too wake up in the middle of the night and you dread the dark, the unknown, the uncertainty that come with these times we're living. And therefore, you're always welcome here. You're always welcome to be a listener, a participant, a speaker, a follower, and a changer. We can change things little by little, one by one, with baby steps. We can change and bring down taboos and myths and stigma, not only around mental illness, but also around that big C word, that word everyone dreads to have in their lives, but that word that needs to be said out loud to scare away ignorance and confusion and fear. That word is cancer. Yeah, we talk a lot about cancer, about breast cancer in particular on Mind Bloom. But that shouldn't keep you away, not if you're a man, not if you're a woman in your 20s and you think you're far, far, far from that reality. Not even if you do your follow-ups like a champ every year. Not if you're as fit as a fiddle and you think nothing can harm you. It's a topic that unfortunately has become common ground for many, many of us. And remember, 1 in 8 women worldwide will one day develop breast cancer. It could be you, your sister, your mother, your cousin, your sister-in-law. So stick around. The topics may be serious and scary, but we strive to make them light, accessible, entertaining, and even funny. Yeah, sometimes I'm funny too. You don't believe me? Well, go check my reels on Instagram and go see me dance to J-Lo's in the morning in my PJs. If that's not funny, I don't know what's funny. So yeah, Reels on Instagram. It's spelled Reels. And they are, for real, the next big thing on Instagram. If you're wondering if they work, if you're wondering if making a reel is going to help you get more followers and engagement, it is. I got easy 50 new followers this week just from posting 15 seconds of me dancing to J-Lo in my sweatpants and 15 seconds of a little play on my daily routine. So a little play on meditation and yoga classes and recording a podcast. Go check them if you haven't at MindBloomU on Instagram. And like I said last week, I am seriously considering leveraging what I'm starting to learn and know about Reels on Instagram and putting this information out on maybe YouTube, on Clubhouse maybe create a little ebook. And it's going to be catering to those who are introverts and yet need to tackle or feel they need and want to tackle Reels on Instagram. So I'll be coming from a place of empathy and profound knowledge of what it feels to be an introvert, because I think I am the most introverted person I know. Even hanging out with introverts, for me, it's too much extroversion. That's how much of an introvert I am. So, keywords in 2021 are network, get yourself out there, put yourself out there, be vulnerable, and get on that Reels train. Of course, I'm discounting the fact that each little 15-second reel takes about 2 hours to, oh my God, plan, shoot, edit, choose a song, and finally post. So it's huge commitment time-wise. But if your brand, your personal brand, is gaining more visibility out of this, then why not? And one thing is for sure, you'll have fun. You'll be experimenting. You'll be listening to new songs. Hey, you might find yourself dancing in your apartment like I have this week. And you know what? That is fun in essence. You step out of that comfort zone of yours. You challenge yourself. You get those creativity juices flowing, and at the same time, you're sharing knowledge, getting others to know you, also known as making new friends, building a community. And I think that all of these things are positive for our mental health. Of course, it's all virtual, it's all on the screen. None of this is real, no pun intended, but give it a shot. Pick a nice song, an uplifting, nice, upbeat song, and dance to it without the camera first, and then start using your phone, your camera, and then start editing. Maybe look for some YouTube tutorials. It is a lot of work, but give it a shot. And if you find yourself overwhelmed by the amount of work behind a 15-second video, then shoot me an email. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know if you have any questions. You can find me at info@mindbloomu.com. You can find me on a ton of social media outlets at MindBloomU, and that includes Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, and I think that's it. And if you're on Clubhouse, you can find me there as well. In fact, I'm going to be hosting a room in about 40 minutes. You can find me there as @MindBloomU, and go check out our episodes, our interviews, my tips and tricks for good mental health on YouTube. Mind Bloom on YouTube, and my channel should pop up. You could buy this podcaster a coffee by going to buymeacoffee.com/mindbloomu, and you can leave a nice review on the podcast of your preference, and you can share this podcast with others, with people you think would benefit from listening to Mind Bloom. Anyway, stick around. This should be a fun episode, and I promise you that my guests and I are going to make your minds bloom today. My guests today are Bridgett and Colleen. They are the hosts of the awesome podcast, Hot Flashes and Cool Topics. And if this title doesn't ring a bell to you, then you've guessed it. We're going to be talking about menopause. That's right. That one day in the life of every woman. It's just one day. The big problem with menopause is actually it's perimenopause, the extended period that could last years of menopause symptoms and hormonal changes, like the so very famous hot flashes and night sweats and an increase in anxiety, you name it, all the fun things. So Colleen and Bridgett got a hold of the hot flashes aspect of menopause and used it as the name of their podcast. And if anyone was in doubt, menopause, perimenopause is indeed about hot flashes, but it's about so many cool topics as well. It can be about career changing, empty nesting, which I assume must be fun because now you can go on dates again with your better half, and financial stability or instability, and investments. What more cool topics? It could be about going back to school. It can be about skincare and hair care. More cool topics can be hormonal therapy, mental health, your sleep, the food you prepare and ingest, your love life, your sex life, and so much more. Anything, really. Because the life of a woman at menopause is really just the beginning of something new, something great, something spectacular. Because you're at a point in your life when you can grab your life by the horns and do anything you want with it. A career change, check. A divorce, check. Start a podcast, check. Pay off your debt, check. Pay off your mortgage, check. Go on that cruise or on that trip you've always wanted to go, and so much more. Of course, midlife should also include an extra special care and attention to your body. So your annual follow-ups, your mammograms, your ultrasounds, all of those things are important at any time in our lives, but I would argue so much more during and after perimenopause and menopause. So all of this and more is what my friends Colleen, Bridgett, and I are going to be talking about today. If you're a guy, I don't care, don't go anywhere. This is important to you because it's important to your girlfriend, your mom, your sister, your coworkers. If you're in your 20s and you think, this is not your cup of tea because you're not there yet, think again. And if you're in your 40s, in your 50s, and you have friends, sisters, co-workers, neighbors, fellow podcasters, then share this episode with them. Tell them to follow Mind Bloom You and Hot Flashes and Cool Topics on all things social. Our emails and DMs are always open, and we love to chat. So stay tuned for the interview. It's right after this. Guys, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Turns out it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. It will also distribute your podcast for you so that everyone can listen to it on Spotify and Apple Podcast and many, many more. And guess what? You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So go download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Hello, Colleen and Bridgett. Welcome to Mind Bloom.
We are so excited to be here.
No, you cannot imagine my excitement, my honor, my privilege.
Aw, thank you. You are so sweet.
Yeah, you're my favorite team of two. And I've learned so much about not just menopause, but about finances, coaching, what to do with your life after a certain age, your relationship with kids and other family members. I don't have kids, but maybe my dog, it kind of all works out. And I got this amazing mug from you. That's how much I love you.
Aww. And it looks
our
great
mugs
in your
on
hand.
your mug. Yeah.
Exactly. It's my coffee, my energy in the morning.
You can think of us every morning.
I have a sip with you every morning. I see your pretty faces on there. And we have this amazing chemistry on all social media platforms. We were also just talking about Clubhouse and how we're going to partner on there as well. Yeah. You're a force to be reckoned with, and I'm just so thankful
to have made our day. We're done.
Wow. Wow.
Wrap up. Let's just wrap up.
We're done.
We're done. No, and I'm just so thankful to have you, to have stumbled upon you in my life and have you now in my life. Thank you.
I feel the same way.
Yes. It's amazing how this whole world 2 years ago, I didn't know all of these people that I've met since we've started this podcast, and it has been wonderful. I feel like, I know them. They're my friend. And we've talked to them, and it is just amazing.
Amazing. And it keeps growing and growing and growing, right?
Yes.
And especially, I don't want to discard men necessarily, although I do a little bit, but this sisterhood, not only in the breasties community, in the mental health community, in the menopause community, and how are they interlinked, right? Breast cancer, menopause, medically induced menopause, and I'm sure you'll have tons to say about it. So before we dive in, I want to know what makes your minds bloom. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Colleen.
I will go first. Well, just hearing you say that makes my mind bloom, honestly, because our intent on the show was for women to feel seen and heard and relate, like we're all sitting at a table and we're just having a cup of your coffee with your coffee mug or a glass of wine, and understanding that this is a normal process of life. Over 40 women are going to go through menopause. We're going to have career changes. We're going to have emotional changes, mental health changes, you name it. And when we hear women saying, wow, you helped us, you made this a little easier, it just makes your heart and your mind just absolutely bloom. And learning for me, because I think having gone from a legal background when I was an attorney, I'm always learning. So talking to experts and educating ourselves on all these topics for women, it makes you feel productive, and it makes you feel like you're constantly learning and growing. And on a personal note, just watching my kids kind of fly makes my mind and heart bloom. But we are also going to be talking in a couple weeks to 2 authors who decided not to have children, and the decision that they had, because we want to make sure that every member of our audience feels like they're heard.
Absolutely.
So one woman is going to be talking about the decision, child-free by choice. And another one's going to talk about being the girlfriend mom, where she never wanted kids. And then she started dating somebody who's she called really hot, but he happened to have 2 kids.
Exactly.
So it's just, I think just constantly learning and growing makes me really feel like I'm still there and I'm still offering things to society. What about you, Miss Bridgett?
Well, I was going to say the learning too is a big thing that makes my mind bloom. And I feel like maybe before we started this podcast, I was always eager to learn, but I feel like since we started this podcast, I have learned so much. I cannot believe it. It's like I've crammed all of these college courses into the past year and a half. And I am amazed at what I've learned. I mean, so much about the body that I had no idea about, how the hormones affect us and everything that happens to us. I've learned so much from different women who have experienced different things like breast cancer. We've talked to a lot of breast cancer survivors, people who are going through it right now. I am just amazed. Just like Colleen said, women who have taken different paths in their lives, women who have changed, their whole course of their life has changed by a decision that they made. Or just, really trying to find out who they really are after they turn a certain age, or actually just kind of going through the midlife phase of life. And they also just are truer to who they are. So we have talked to women that completely are like, hey, this is who I really was all along. Yeah. They've come out as lesbians, some have, and some have left their husbands for someone else, or just really trying to find who they really are. Now, I'm not saying leave your husband. I don't want to leave my husband. I really love him and I don't want to do that. But the women that have had the courage to do this, and I've just learned so much from them. And just body-wise too, I'm like, we've talked to several hair experts. I had no idea that the reason your hair could be falling out is because that is the last thing your body wants to give nourishment to. So if you have something else in your body that is needing the nourishment, your hair is going to suffer. I had no idea it led to that was a reason. So, I mean, that's just one little snippet of something I've learned and that has really made my mind bloom in the past year and a half.
Of course. And you know what I've learned also so interesting? That menopause is really one day.
Yes.
In the life of a woman.
It could take 10 years to get to,
exactly.
But it's actually just one day.
Exactly. And it's called, so it's the perimenopause really that we're talking about when we're talking about the hot flashes and all the hormonal changes.
Right.
And then there's the one day, which I'll want you to define for the audience. And then you're off the hook?
You're
post.
You're not off the hook though.
You're never off the hook.
Colleen is still Perry. And
I'm going to be Perry forever.
She's going to be the Guinness's World Book record.
53 and still Perry.
But I was like 47. So, but I still had hot flashes, night sweats, horrible. And fortunately for me, I didn't have some of the risks that other people have. So I am on bioidentical hormones. So for me, I did try some other things at first. Sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't. A lot of women can't do that, but I was able to do that. And so far, everything has been going pretty well. I do go in, I do get blood work done about every 6 months to make sure levels are good and that reactions are good. But you still go through it, postmenopausal. And Yeah. The weight gain, the having to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard to stay in shape. Yes.
Or just accept that is.
It is. And that's when the anxiety and the mental part comes in, like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, to add to that, one of the things that surprised me the most was I started perimenopause about 45. So I'm about 8 years in. And I was shocked by them. I've always suffered from anxiety my whole life. I have generalized anxiety disorder, but my anxiety spiked at 45. And I attributed it to my father being terminally ill. My daughter was going through an eating disorder. So I had a lot of factors that caused it, but it was disproportionate to what my life was going through. And we learned through this podcast that if you have anxiety, or even if you don't suffer from it, it can be exacerbated by perimenopause and your hormonal fluctuations. And that was a big surprise to me because I didn't know it affected your mental health. I thought it was simply the hot flashes, the weight gain, the night sweats, which I suffer from. So they really stink. And it's mental health is just as big as a challenge for peri and postmenopausal women as all those other physical challenges.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all my life, all I've ever heard of is the hot flashes,
Right.
which brings us to the title, the name of your podcast, because with that hot flash, that beginning, that first part of your title, it just, we know what we're talking about, but unfortunately, there's more to menopause than that, and to be alert to the mental health changes. Maybe halfway there, like you probably have your explanation right there, and you can then address it and look for either a therapist or meds or just some help, a community perhaps. Because turns out, hey, you're perimenopausal and you never thought about it, really. Yeah.
Right. And it can affect your work. We've talked to several women, some women that have quit their jobs because it just affects them so much. And I look back when I was working, and I was probably beginning going through peri. I was a former elementary school teacher. And I think when I hit my 40s, I remember just feeling like I could not get anything together. And there is really no support for that. It kind of, even though I worked with mostly women, my boss was a woman, there is no support there for what you're going through. And you really internalize it. You think there's something wrong with you. And just trying to talk to other people, it was really, really hard to find that at that time. So we're really hoping that other women will feel heard and have a place to talk and have it recognized. Like, okay, let's cut a little slack for this and get to the root of what's going on with people during this time. And other things, other illnesses, well, this is not an illness or a medical really condition, but other things in your life are recognized in the workplace. So this would be a great thing to be recognized or to have recognized in the workplace.
Absolutely. So your podcast ultimately is a podcast that gives voice to women. No matter what they're going through, no matter their age, because you can have a hysterectomy at 25 for a reason or other. Or, it doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter your origin, your background, the color of your skin. It's going to happen to you. And it's probably better to be prepared.
Right. And also to prepare your daughters and the next generation coming up, because for some reason you mentioned the term menopause and women run. They associate it with aging, even though, like you said, we've interviewed women 24 that have gone through early menopause. And it's just such a close association to the aging process, which is given a negative connotation. We believe it's a freedom that you earn. When you get older, whatever that age is, you achieve so much freedom in your life to not care what other people think and to change careers. And one of the reasons why we added the and cool topic, so it's hot flashes and cool topics is because women are multidimensional. It's not just about menopause. It's about your career. It's about your family. Like you said before, your life has so much richness to it that some women can't see because they're looking backwards, what I had before, my job, my family, that they're not looking ahead to what they have to look forward to. And we feel very strongly on our show that we want women to have things to look forward to. So if you can't find it, we'll find it. We'll make suggestions for you.
Yeah. We'll bring people on that do it. Yeah.
we're easily talking about 30, 40 years.
Absolutely. Yeah.
After menopause, after that one day in our lives. Can you define for the audience how that day is defined?
Sure. Go ahead.
You go ahead. I was going to say, it's like the day that you were supposed to have your next period and it isn't there and it never comes back.
It's
day.
12 months. Yeah.
Menopause 12 months,
is
right. After
12 months of no periods.
Right.
So I cannot tell you how many women in our group and when we've talked to go 11 months and 29 days and get their period. And it starts all over again. So it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
And, for example, for myself, I have all the perimenopause symptoms and still have a regular cycle. And that can happen. So women are like, I'm not in perimenopause. I still have a cycle. That's not true.
No, you're peri.
So up 8 to 10 years beforehand, you could start feeling the symptoms of perimenopause. And if your mom went through an early menopause, you might start even younger. And then you have that one anniversary, that one day of saying, okay, I've not had my period for 12 months. And then the next day you're postmenopausal. So when people say menopause and they're talking about a long time frame, it's actually not true. Menopause is one single day.
Right. And sometimes it's often hard, and it just depends on who your doctor is. But my personal experience is I knew something was up. My mother went through menopause when she was 43. I have a sister that was in her early 40s as well. And I was about 46 or 47, and I was at my gynecologist, and she said, oh, you can't be, that's too young. She just didn't believe me. And then she did my blood work, and the follicle count indicated that, yes, I am peri. And I remember, I think I was, like Colleen said, I think I was 8 months out. It was like, oh, I had another period. Okay, well, then it's 1 year from there.
Start back to the starting gate.
Yeah, but I remember just feeling like, you don't believe me, really? Because you're a gynecologist. Surely you've seen other women doing this, but she didn't believe me. So that was really surprising.
We hear from a lot of women. Unfortunately, gynecology is not strongly taught as far as your menstrual cycles in med school. So you might take 1 or 2 classes related to that. But we have interviewed gynecologists that say the reports and the research can be up to 10 years behind where we are now. And the 2002 reports that came out by the World Health Institute really scared women for hormonal replacement because it came out saying that, there's an increase in heart attacks and breast cancer. Now, years after they recanted that, one doctor said bad news travels faster than good news. So women are really hesitant to talk to their doctors about hormone replacement. And it's not for every woman. It's a very personal decision, but it is an option for a lot of women who don't think it is. So we try to find doctors on the cutting edge. Dr. Sherry Ross is a doctor in LA, and she's amazing. She's been on several times. We have her coming on again. She talks about really understanding each woman's individual history and how it applies, because you should not suffer in silence. This isn't something you have to be embarrassed to go home from work about, that you can't talk to your girlfriends about. This is just a normal, natural process of life.
Yes.
Talking about age in the breast cancer community, I would say the same thing. You're too young. You're too young. No, you don't need a mammogram. No. And the importance of self-advocating, and I believe in this case too, is extreme, really. Women really need to be informed, and these podcasts are so valid for that. I think we are just rolling up our sleeves and doing the work, the legwork of, guys, this is normal. Yes, if you feel a lump, go see your doctor. You're not too young for, never too young for breast cancer, as you're never too young for being perimenopausal.
Absolutely.
Your body is your body.
Right. And that is,
we interviewed
Leslie Yerger.
I was just going to say, we interviewed a great advocate for breast density issues, Leslie Yerger. She's a metastatic breast cancer survivor, but she had a clear mammogram 2 months before she was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer.
And an ultrasound.
The density.
And an ultrasound.
Yes. Right, exactly. Because the density in her breast blocked views of the tumor. So she started mydensitymatters.org, and it's advocating for women to know your breast density. Because we have found with most of our guests that it's a personal mission, because something happened to you or you're suffering from a symptom or something, that women are like, okay, if I can't find the answer out there, I'll create it myself. I'll do something, and kudos to women who are doing that. If you can't find the answer, then you'll find it for yourself and help women. You'll pay it forward.
Yeah,
absolutely. So hot flashes and cool topics, guys. Tell me all about that and how one day out of the blue, you just decided to do this. Go ahead with this.
We were having lunch, with some friends. And this was probably August of 2019. And one of our friends had a podcast, completely different topic podcast. And Colleen and I both were winding down our second careers. And we were like, well, what are we going to do? And we were with one of my sisters that was going to start a new career. And we started saying, well, we should do something. We were just talking about things that are happening in our lives that we were really fed up with. Like, why is this way? And why is it that way? And we were like, we should do something about this. And then Colleen can tell you how she came up with the name.
Well, we there's some great podcasts out there for midlife women, but we wanted to represent everybody. So we want to be kind of the umbrella for every topic in midlife. And so we figured, okay, well, hot flashes, people are going to recognize the demographic right away. And Cool Topics is going to cover all the cool stuff we are discovering about ourselves in midlife and beyond. So Bridgett and I, having absolutely no technical experience on the computer or recording, as we say, it took us like 8 hours to do our promo.
I did.
And editing and all that fun stuff. We kind of just jumped in with both feet or 4 feet and hoped it would work out. And wow, I don't think we had any clue how it would resonate with women in our demographic. And even younger, we have a lot of moms whose daughters listen with them to kind of get them ready for what's coming next in life. And to understand what their moms are going through or their best friends. Or we had, we would love to see women groups just listen to an episode and be like, okay, let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like topics. Because one week we may talk about, this week we're talking about makeup. Last week we talked with Jean Chatsky about finances. We may talk to an actress one week and an author the next. But you never know what you're going to get, because in midlife, you just never know what you're going to get. So that was kind of the creation behind it. And it has we started the end of September of 2019, and it has grown crazy since then.
Yeah. And that was another mind blown, because all of the technical things that we needed to learn with that, and, just getting through how to edit, how to do the videos, how to just to record. Was
microphones.
Just exactly.
How many I think Bridgett has like 5 or 7 microphones in her closet. Because we didn't try to figure it out. We just kept going, okay, let's get another one.
That one's not working the best. It's like I see a microphone and Colleen's like, get away from the microphone. Just walk away.
She's got an obsession with microphones.
Because the issue was with the mic. It was never with you, right? It was never with your editing.
Exactly.
It had nothing to do with us not being able to figure out where to plug everything and how to get all this. No, it had nothing to do with us.
No. So you guys self-taught yourselves?
Yeah, everything.
Yes. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. Our friend that has a podcast, we really
asked her a lot.
Went to her a lot, like both of us at her kitchen table, and God bless her. I mean, because she had to put up with a lot of us. But then we learned some stuff, and we try to help her. Because there's 2 of us, so we have a little more, you can focus on this and I'll focus on this. And then she might need a little help with something. So we just you know.
But YouTube became our best friend. YouTube videos were amazing.
Yeah. And I know, Bridgett, you do the YouTubes.
I do the YouTubes. Yeah.
I remember. I'm sorry. I remember fondly your last episode of season 1. that one. I was laughing out loud.
Which one was that?
The one we survived.
Where you recap.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh my goodness,
I was laughing out loud.
It is.
And you were just saying we're gonna. Try YouTube. I mean, we have the videos, might as well do it, which is how I did it as well. And here you are. I mean, you've grown exponentially on YouTube. It's unbelievable. And I know that Colleen is the social media maven.
I wouldn't call myself maven.
You're pretty good at it.
I'm creeping along on it. You know, I'm learning as we go.
Right.
But you know, you have to, anything you're going to do, if you want it to be successful, you kind of really have to put your heart and soul into it. Yeah. And if you believe in it, which you believe in your podcast, we believe in ours, it grows from that. It's like, you know, it's really, you want to put the time in, and you want to, you know, when we get an email from somebody saying, you just made my day with this episode, or I don't feel alone anymore, that just gives you the fuel to keep going and learning and growing. And it's just been great. And then once people start coming on and we're like, wow, you said, I think the first person that we interviewed that had a name, we were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to ask? What are we going to do?
I was a nervous wreck. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, Colleen, I'm shaking. I can't. Now it has gotten so much better because it's like, all of these people are people. They're people. They're humans. And and I just appreciate every one of our guests that takes the time to be on our show. I'm like, you know, I don't care if you are a famous celebrity or not. If you took the time to be on our show, I really appreciate that. Yes.
Did you used to record together pre-COVID?
Yes.
We did. Yes. Yeah. We lived just
where
right
Bridgett is
street.
Right now, and her little screen is where we used to, and we will do it again together.
We will. I still have her microphone up, and I still have it over there. Yeah.
It works really well when we're together, because I think we talk over a lot of each other on video, because it's hard to know when the other person, sometimes especially from my computer, I get a delay. So Bridgett will be halfway through a sentence and I'm jumping in because I didn't hear it. At least when you're together, there's a dynamic that works a little easier. Yeah. But we get, one of the great things that we hear from listeners is that it's so easy to tell the difference, because I have a New Jersey accent, which isn't pretty like British or anything. Bridgett has a beautiful Kentucky accent. It's very Southern.
It's country. My daughter told me. My daughter said she went to school. I grew up in Kentucky, and we moved there when she was 3. So she pretty much grew up in Kentucky, and she went to school in Georgia. And she said, oh, we don't have a Southern accent. We have a country accent.
But it's easy to tell the difference between the two of us. It's easy to tell who we are. And mine's just a harsh Jersey.
I've heard much harsher, Colleen. You're good. You're good.
It's great that you have different accents, because we can always distinguish you.
Yes.
Right. And that's what we hear from a lot of our listeners. It's great because I can tell the difference. I know when Colleen's talking, and I know when Bridgett's talking, and we just have a really good dynamic on the show. Yeah. We come from very different worlds, but we're going through the similar experiences of life. So we have different perspectives on it, which is great.
I agree. Wonderful. So what are your plans for the future in terms of hot flashes and cool topics?
Wow.
We're going to take over the world, right, Bridgett? We were talking to an ad agency yesterday for an interview, and it was really interesting. They are an ad agency in California that focus on, their mission is for women over 40 to be seen and heard in the media, for marketers, for companies. And we kind of feel that way about the media as well. Like, we want women who are over, midlife and beyond, but especially over 50, to feel like they are important and they are seen and they are heard. And that cultural lag of, you're 50-year-old now, to change that narrative. It's always been about changing the narrative for us. So wherever that takes us, we kind of put the seatbelt on and we just go, okay, we're open to anything.
Right.
It seems to have a life of its own. So you just, right, Bridgett, we kind of
kind of, if we see a path, we're like, that looks interesting. Let's find out about that. Let's try that out. But yeah, I agree. And it was so interesting talking to the women yesterday. They're two women that worked in advertising and marketing, and often would find themselves the only woman in the room when they were with their companies. And they knew each other just through the whole marketing world, and decided to come together with this. But just being an advocate, just like Colleen said, just an advocate on all kinds of topics, and to bring it to the forefront and make it important, because the world has been such a male-driven world, and that just like breast cancer should be just right up there, was such a big health issue. And the fact that you have to push to get a mammogram, even if it was in your family and oftentimes that's not even the case. A lot of women have breast cancer, never had it in their family. But just the fact that you have to push for that, and push for an ultrasound and everything else, if your breast density is or if you have a very dense breast, they don't know. I didn't know. I had to ask Leslie, how do you know? And you've got to ask your, I guess, the person doing your mammogram. And I thought, nobody told me to ask that person. That should be almost on a checklist. Does this person tell them that they have dense breasts? Let's move on. But just any topic like that, any health issue or health concerns should be pushed. And I was asking the women yesterday, well, what can we do to make sure that marketers are targeting us? And, what can we do? And she said, we need more women out there. But I thought, should we be writing? Should we be letting these companies know, hey, you're ignoring us? You need to step it up. We need more. We have money to spend. I have more money to spend now than I did when I was 25 or 30. And I'm happy to, if you appeal to me, I might just do it. So I might just spend that money. So those are, things I would kind of
want to answer the question. You have 30 or 40 years now to live. What do you want to do with it?
Yeah.
What do you want to do with it? And we give you options and we talk about that. And so wherever that takes us, we're open to the journey.
I love it that, I'm a big opponent of toxic positivity. It's not all about go take a bubble bath and everything's going to be okay. You need sometimes to grieve. You need to mourn. You need to talk, maybe. You need to really feel what's going on inside. And I feel that you address that. And I try as much as I can to address that as well. Because the social media especially is infested with it's all going to be okay and you're a queen, but what does that mean? What does that mean if I cannot speak with my mother about menopause, or if my doctor has declined to follow up with a mammogram, or if I don't know what is going on with my very own breasts. Therefore, I feel that going deep into the topics and calling things by their names, whether it's in finance or health or relationships and family relationships, it's so important. So I think I'm proud of ourselves because we are putting ourselves out there and giving so much of us. Really, would you?
Right. You kind of have to be authentic.
Yeah.
If you're not authentic, people can tell right away that you're not living your authentic truth, especially when you're talking. Like when Bridgett and I just have conversations on the show, we realize, wow, we just disclosed a lot of stuff we probably should not have disclosed to thousands and thousands of people. But we leave it in there because that's who we are, Yeah. And if you try to be somebody you're not, people pick up on that.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have that. And we don't even have time for that when you're at this age. Like, it's too much energy. It's too much work to be somebody you're not. And who has time for it, honestly?
Right. Yeah. And I think if you're not authentic, that just adds to the anxiety behind it. Then you're trying to cover up for something that isn't real or not your true self. So I think, that being authentic is important. And I know that I enjoy podcasts or shows or anything where I feel the person is authentic. And I feel like if they're flaws and all, because everybody has flaws, that I just feel kind of closer and more connected to people who do a show like that. Mm-hmm.
How proud are your kids of your work? How proud are your spouses? And how proud are you of yourselves? I want to know.
I would say that my husband is very proud and surprised at how, surprised isn't the right word, but he's just, when I tell him, oh, so-and-so's coming on the show, he's like, what? Really? Like, he's just kind of excited for us is probably the right word. Mm-hmm. My kids are very proud of me. I am excited that they see me living a productive life, because they see, oh, mom's 53 and she's loving life. She's working. She's enjoying what she's doing. She's doing it with a dear friend. Like, they see me being productive. However, I want to define that. Now, if I define being productive as knitting for the day or do something, that's fine, as long as you feel like it's the right thing for you. And that's what we want our listeners to know. You don't have to change the world. You just have to be happy in the world you're in. Mm-hmm. So, there were, I think even with Bridgett, my kids were like, okay, you cannot talk about this. You cannot talk about that. Like, they set certain rules. But I know, one of the episodes I'm most proud of is an episode that I did with my daughter, Jordan, about eating disorders. Mm-hmm. And we were very frank and very honest. She shared her perspective on what it was like to having an eating disorder. And I shared my perspective on what it was like to be a mom of a child with an eating disorder, because I knew there were so many families struggling out there that we didn't want to, edit it. We didn't want to kind of do a Q&A. We just talked, and it was very raw and it was very honest. And I was really proud of that. And I was really proud of my daughter, because she brought it up. I didn't even bring it up.
Right.
Like, and I mean, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was just saying, to be a young woman like Jordan.
25, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know when I was 25, how vulnerable I felt. Right. And you're worried that the world is just staring at you. But Jordan, 25-year-old, got out there and just said it. And I think that not only was it's very helpful for parents that have a child struggling with this. And it is so, it is so much more prevalent than you even think it is. Just that you.
And I would also say that I'm just in awe of watching Bridgett she had the worst imposter syndrome when we started this.
I did.
Is so confident now, and just like, she used to always be like, okay, you ask the question, and now she's like, all right, I have a question for you. So, she, watching her kind of blossom, bloom, has been a joy.
I totally, I think I did definitely suffer from that, because I would get up there and think, well, who am I to tell these people this stuff? I don't have a degree in this or that, or I'm not an expert in this. Who am I to tell? I really did think I'm not qualified. I'm not worthy. I really felt like that. And Colleen was just like, hey, we research, we find, we don't claim to be experts, but we will find someone who is an expert. And then I'm like, okay, well, this is okay then. And we're learning a lot, and we're meeting some wonderful people while we're doing it. And it's just making the world's just opening up so much. So
how does John feel about it, your husband?
Oh, John loves it. It's so funny. John is kind of quiet, and it's so funny. He'll listen to some of our episodes while he's driving to work or back, and especially episodes that involve sex. It's so funny. I mean, I'm sure he's alone in his car and his face is beet red. But my children, I don't think my son listens to it a lot. He's 28, but my daughter does. And it's really neat. He is impressed. Like, he knows, okay, you're going up here, you're interviewing, you're going to be doing this. And I'll tell him who we are interviewing. And he thinks that's really neat. But my daughter, it's been really great. She's 25 also, and she has really gotten into it. And she's like, okay, she's been watching the YouTube. All right, I want to redo your background here. So Mom, she got me this sign for Christmas. I had this sign made, and we need a shelf, and we need this, and we need your background to look good. So, they both are really great. At first, we weren't going to say their names, and now it's like, it's all over.
Yeah. It was too hard to keep editing that out.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, there's many Johns anyway.
That's right. They'll never know, but I bet they'll know. Yeah, we'll never tell. But I think it like Colleen said, it's great that our children see us doing this and working and just starting something. And it's so funny when my husband, I don't think he listens to every episode, but he'll come back and say, that interview was really good. I can't believe, that you two just did this interview like this. It just got it together. And I said, once you get in there and you start talking to them, it's like it kind of, if they're a celebrity or an expert in that field, all that just kind of goes away, washes away, and you just start talking. So it's been great. Yeah,
it's very engaging. You can tell it's very lively. You can tell you're having fun, that the guest is having fun, and we, the audience, feels like we're just having a cup of coffee with you.
Right.
Good. That's what we wanted.
Yeah. That was our goal.
Yeah. Yeah. You surely achieved it. I even tweeted that one day.
Oh my God. Thank you.
And I appreciate your tweets. I do.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on the Twitter feed. So there you go. Bridgett is Pinterest and YouTube, and I'm all the Facebook, Instagram.
I know. I've learned to know. Yeah. Where my ladies are. I know. I know that YouTube. I'm like, Bridgett did a good job.
I did this one. And I am still, it's so funny because I'm like, my son was a film major, and I keep saying, maybe someday you'll show me how to use Final Cut, because I'm just using iMovie. I mean, I'm just pulling those things in from iMovie. So.
Me too. No, it becomes a teamwork, I guess, with our family members too. My brother brought in the music for me. It's awesome. I always have feedback from people in my family and just in my home country, and it's great. I mean, it certainly opens avenues where we didn't think. And the amount of skills we develop. I mean, 6 months ago, what? Editing audio? What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Or talking,
absolutely.
Yeah. Or talking via Zoom with people in Australia,
right,
in Canada, and it's unbelievable.
It is amazing. Yes, it is. Yeah, when you see those, when you see where your audience is or where your listeners are, and it's all over the map, and you just think, wow.
I shouldn't have said that.
No, but it's
great. It's very humbling.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Well, and it is humbling to have you on. I mean, I am in awe.
Please don't be.
Well, we're in awe with you because,
yeah,
I think you're doing.
You're a one-woman
so
show, and we
too.
Are always in awe of one-person shows, because we think that's such a challenge.
That's a lot of work, but also what you're doing is so important too. I mean, you are really hitting on two topics that are just so important, and just the number of people with anxiety, it just creeps in all the time. And then just the breast cancer, the number of friends that I have lost to breast cancer that were doing what they should be doing, that I just think it's so important to get these messages out.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to continue my coffee, my morning coffee on your mug. Please send more gifts along. I'll be very happy to promote.
Send in the merch. Send in
the merch.
Yes.
And this was a pleasure. We'll stay in touch, I'm sure.
All right.
Thank you for having us on. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Of course. My pleasure.